You are standing right now in the middle of what feels like an impossible situation. You've tried everything you know how to try. You've exhausted your resources, you've talked to everyone you could talk to, you've done all the right things, and still nothing has changed. And maybe right now, in this very moment, you're thinking there's no way out. You're thinking this is it. This is where your story ends. But I want to tell you something that's going to change everything for you today. There is a way out. There is always a way out. And it doesn't come from you figuring it all out with your limited human mind. It comes from something far greater than you. See, the problem isn't that you're in an impossible situation. The problem is that you're trying to solve it from the same level of consciousness that created it. You're using the same thinking, the same patterns, the same beliefs that got you here in the first place. And then you wonder why nothing changes. You keep pushing the same buttons, expecting different results. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. When you understand that there is an infinite intelligence, a divine power, a source energy, whatever you want to call it God, call it the universe, call it the Tao, it doesn't matter what label you put on it. When you understand that this power is always present, always available, always working on your behalf, then you begin to see that your impossible situation is only impossible from where you're standing right now. But from where God stands, from where this infinite intelligence operates, there are no impossible situations. There are only opportunities for miracles. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, well, that sounds nice, but you don't know my situation. You don't know what I'm going through. You don't know how bad it is. And you're right. I don't know your specific circumstances. But here's what I do know. I know that the same power that creates galaxies, the same force that makes your heart beat without you thinking about it, the same intelligence that grows an entire human being from 2 microscopic cells, that same power is available to you right now, in this moment, to create a way out of whatever situation you're facing. The question is not whether God has a way out for you. The question is whether you're willing to let go of your need to control everything and allow that divine intelligence to work through you. You see, most people want God to show up in their lives, but they want God to show up according to their plans, according to their timeline, according to their understanding of how things should work. And when it doesn't happen that way, they say, well, God isn't listening, God doesn't care, God has abandoned me. But that's not what's happening at all. What's happening is that you're so busy telling God how to fix your problem that you're not listening to what God is trying to tell you. You're so busy trying to force doors open that you're missing the window that's already open. You're so focused on the one way you think your situation can be resolved that you're blind to the 1,000 other ways that are available to you right now. Let me tell you something about impossible situations. Every single person who has ever achieved anything remarkable, who has ever overcome tremendous odds, who has ever experienced what others would call a miracle, they all have one thing in common. They all reached a point where they had to surrender, they had to let go. They had to stop trying to figure it all out. And they had to trust that there was a higher power, a greater intelligence working on their behalf. This doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. This doesn't mean you become passive and just wait for things to magically change. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that you align yourself with this infinite intelligence. You become a vessel through which this divine power can work. You stop resisting and you start allowing. You stop forcing and you start flowing. Think about it this way. When you're in the ocean and a wave comes, if you resist it, if you fight against it, what happens? You get tumbled. You get thrown around, you might even drown. But if you align yourself with the wave, if you move with it, you can ride it all the way to shore. The same principle applies to your life. The same principle applies to your impossible situation. Right now, there's a wave of divine energy, a current of infinite intelligence that's trying to carry you to where you need to be. But you're fighting it. You're resisting it because it doesn't look like what you thought it should look like. It's not coming in the package you expected. It's not following the route you planned, so you're saying no to it. And in saying no to the help that's being offered, you're keeping yourself stuck in your impossible situation. I want you to consider something. What if the very thing you're resisting right now is exactly what you need? What if the door that closed, the job you lost, the relationship that ended, the business that failed, what if all of that wasn't happening to you but for you? What if it was the universe's way of redirecting you towards something better, something greater, something more aligned with your true purpose? You see, when you're attached to outcomes, when you're so fixated on how things have to be, You cut yourself off from the infinite possibilities that are available to you. You limit God's ability to work in your life because you're saying it has to be this way or no way. But God doesn't work in boxes. The universe doesn't operate according to your limited understanding. Divine intelligence has access to resources you can't even see, opportunities you can't even conceive of, solutions you haven't even thought of. Your job is not to figure out how it's all going to work out. Your job is to trust that it will work out. Your job is to maintain faith even when you can't see the path. Your job is to believe in the possibility of miracles even when everything around you is screaming that it's impossible. Now let's talk about faith for a moment. Real faith isn't hoping that things will work out. Real faith isn't crossing your fingers and wishing for the best. Real faith is knowing with absolute certainty that no matter what happens, you are being guided, you are being supported, you are being carried by a power that is far greater than any problem you could ever face. Faith is not the absence of fear. Faith is feeling the fear and trusting anyway. Faith is looking at your bank account with $3 in it and knowing that somehow, some way, your needs will be met. Faith is receiving the diagnosis and knowing that you are more than your body, you are more than your circumstances. You are a spiritual being having a temporary human experience. When you have this kind of faith, this unshakable trust in divine intelligence, something remarkable happens. You stop being so afraid. You stop being so anxious. You stop trying to control everything. And in that space of surrender, in that space of trust, that's where miracles happen. That's where solutions appear. That's where doors open that you didn't even know existed. I've seen this happen over and over again in my own life and in the lives of countless others. People who were facing bankruptcy and suddenly received an unexpected check in the mail. People who were given a terminal diagnosis and their bodies healed in ways that doctors couldn't explain. People who had been unemployed for months and suddenly got offered their dream job. People who had been alone for years and met the love of their life when they finally stopped desperately searching. These aren't coincidences. These aren't accidents. These are the natural result of aligning yourself with the flow of divine intelligence. These are what happen when you stop blocking the channel through which miracles can enter your life. But here's what you need to understand. You can't be in alignment with divine intelligence while you're holding on to resentment, anger, bitterness, or fear. You can't access the highest solutions while you're vibrating at the lowest frequencies. You can't receive miracles while you're focused on everything that's wrong. This is why your thoughts matter so much. This is why what you focus on matters so much. Because whatever you give your attention to, you give your energy to, and whatever you give your energy to expands in your life. If you're constantly thinking about how impossible your situation is, if you're constantly talking about how bad things are, if you're constantly focusing on the problem, then guess what? You're just creating more of the same. But when you shift your focus, when you start looking for evidence of divine support in your life, when you start noticing the small miracles that happen every day, when you start feeling grateful for what is working instead of complaining about what isn't, everything begins to change. Not because the external circumstances necessarily change right away, although they often do, but because you change. Your perception changes, your energy changes, and when your energy changes, you begin to attract different experiences. Let me be clear about something. I'm not talking about positive thinking as a way to deny reality. I'm not suggesting you put on rose-colored glasses and pretend everything is fine when it's not. What I'm talking about is choosing to see the bigger picture. What I'm talking about is understanding that your current circumstances are temporary, they're not permanent, they're not who you are, they're just what you're experiencing right now. And here's the beautiful thing, this moment right now, the one you're in, this is the only moment you have any power. You can't change the past. It's gone. You can't control the future. It hasn't happened yet. But right now, in this present moment, you have a choice. You can choose to align yourself with fear or faith. You can choose to focus on the problem or the solution. You can choose to feel like a victim or remember that you are a powerful creator. When you choose faith, when you choose to trust in divine intelligence, when you choose to believe that there is a way out even when you can't see it yet, you open yourself up to receive guidance. And this guidance comes in many forms. Sometimes it comes as an intuition, a gut feeling, a sense of what you need to do next. Sometimes it comes through other people, through a conversation, through a book, through something you hear on the radio. Sometimes it comes through what appears to be coincidence or synchronicity. But you have to be paying attention. You have to be present. You have to be open and receptive. If you're so caught up in your worry, so consumed by your anxiety, so lost in your fear, you're going to miss the signs. You're going to miss the guidance. You're going to miss the opportunities that are being presented to you. This is why meditation is so powerful. This is why taking time to be still and quiet, your mind is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Because in that silence, in that stillness, that's where you can hear the voice of divine intelligence. That's where you can receive the guidance you need. That's where you can tap into the wisdom that already exists within you. You see, the answers you're looking for, they're not out there somewhere. They're inside you. You already have access to infinite intelligence. You already have a direct connection to divine wisdom. The problem is that your mind is so noisy, so busy, so full of chatter that you can't hear it. It's like trying to hear a whisper in a room full of people shouting. You have to quiet the noise if you want to hear the message. And when you do, when you take the time to get still, when you create space for divine intelligence to communicate with you, you'll be amazed at what comes through. You'll receive ideas you never would have thought of. You'll get clarity about what steps to take next. You'll feel a sense of peace even in the middle of chaos. You'll know, without knowing how you know, that everything is going to be okay. This knowing, this inner certainty, this is your connection to God. This is your connection to Source. This is how you access the power that can move mountains, part seas, and make a way out of no way. But you have to nurture this connection. You have to cultivate it. You have to protect it from the negativity and fear that the world constantly throws at you. You have to be very careful about what you allow into your consciousness. You have to be selective about what you watch, what you read, who you spend time with, what conversations you participate in, because all of this is either strengthening your connection to divine intelligence or weakening it. All of this is either raising your vibration or lowering it. All of this is either opening you up to miracles or closing you off to them. If you're surrounding yourself with people who constantly complain, who see problems everywhere, who don't believe in possibilities, that's going to affect you. If you're watching news that fills you with fear, reading articles that make you feel hopeless, listening to music that brings you down, that's going to affect you, not because you're weak, but because you're human, because you're influenced by the energy around you. So you have to be intentional. You have to protect your peace. You have to guard your mind. You have to choose every single day to align yourself with higher frequencies. This means spending time in nature. This means listening to uplifting music. This means reading books that inspire you. This means surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, who encourage you, who remind you of who you really are when you forget, and you will forget. We all do. We all have moments where we lose faith, where we doubt, where we fall back into fear. That's part of being human. The key is not to stay there. The key is to recognize what's happening and make a different choice. The key is to remember that you have the power in any moment to shift your focus, to change your thoughts, to realign yourself with divine intelligence. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through gratitude. When you feel grateful, when you genuinely appreciate what you have, you cannot simultaneously feel fear or worry or anxiety. Gratitude is a high vibration emotion. It immediately raises your frequency and opens you up to receive more good things. So even in the middle of your impossible situation, find something to be grateful for. Be grateful that you woke up this morning. Be grateful that you have breath in your lungs. Be grateful for the people who love you. Be grateful for past experiences where things worked out even when you thought they wouldn't. Be grateful in advance for the solution that's already on its way to you. This last one is particularly powerful. When you thank God for answering your prayer before you see the evidence of it, you're demonstrating absolute faith. You're saying, I trust so completely that you've got this handled that I'm already celebrating the outcome. And this level of faith moves heaven and earth. This level of trust activates forces you can't even comprehend. Now, I want to address something important. Sometimes the way out of your impossible situation doesn't look like you thought it would. Sometimes the solution requires you to change. Sometimes it requires you to grow. Sometimes it requires you to let go of old patterns, old beliefs, old ways of being that are no longer serving you. God will never give you a way out that keeps you small. God will never provide a solution that enables your dysfunction. Divine intelligence is always leading you toward your highest good, toward the fullest expression of who you really are. And sometimes that means you have to go through the fire. Sometimes that means you have to face your fears. Sometimes that means you have to surrender the very thing you've been clinging to. This is where most people get stuck. They ask for help, but they're not willing to do the inner work. They want the miracle, but they don't want to change. They want God to fix their situation, but they want to stay exactly the same. And that's not how it works. If you want different results, you have to become a different person. If you want a different life, you have to develop a different consciousness. If you want to move beyond your impossible situation, you have to be willing to release whatever is keeping you tied to it. Maybe it's your need to be right. Maybe it's your attachment to being the victim. Maybe it's your fear of success. Maybe it's your unwillingness to forgive. Maybe it's your belief that you're not worthy of good things. Whatever it is, you have to be willing to look at it honestly and let it go. This is not easy. This requires courage. This requires you to be brutally honest with yourself. But this is also where true transformation happens. This is where you stop being a person who has problems and become a person who has solutions. This is where you stop being someone things happen to and become someone who creates their reality. And when you make this shift, when you take full responsibility for your life, not in a way that blames you for everything, but in a way that empowers you to change everything, that's when you become unstoppable. That's when you realize that you're not a victim of circumstances, you're a creator of experiences. That's when you understand that your impossible situation was never really impossible. It was just an invitation to expand, to grow, to step into a bigger version of yourself. God doesn't create impossible situations. God creates opportunities for you to remember who you really are. You are not this small, limited, fearful person you sometimes think you are. You are a spiritual being with unlimited potential. You are connected to infinite intelligence. You have access to divine power. There is literally nothing you cannot be, do, or have when you align yourself with this truth. But you have to believe it. You have to know it. You have to live from this place of knowing, and the only way to do that is to practice. You have to practice faith. You have to practice trust. You have to practice surrender. You have to practice gratitude. You have to practice seeing yourself as the powerful creator you are instead of the helpless victim you think you are. Every time you choose faith over fear, you get stronger. Every time you choose to trust instead of worry, you build your faith muscles. Every time you choose to focus on solutions instead of problems, you train your mind to see possibilities. And over time, this becomes your new normal. This becomes who you are. You become someone who faces challenges with confidence because you know you're never alone. You become someone who looks at obstacles as opportunities because you know they're just stepping stones to something better. You become someone who remains calm in the storm because you know that this too shall pass, and there's a higher purpose being served, even if you can't see it yet. This is the life that's available to you. This is the person you can become. This is what happens when you truly understand that God has a way out of your impossible situation. Not because God is going to swoop down and fix everything for you, but because when you align yourself with divine intelligence, when you open yourself to infinite possibilities, when you trust in the power that creates worlds, you become a channel through which miracles can flow. And here's what's really beautiful. When you learn to do this for yourself, when you learn to navigate your own impossible situations with faith and trust, you become a light for others. You become an example of what's possible. You become proof that miracles are real, that divine intelligence is always working, that there is always a way out, no matter how dark things seem. People will look at your life and wonder how you did it. They'll ask you what your secret is, and you'll tell them there's no secret. You'll tell them that you simply learned to get out of your own way. You learn to stop fighting against the current and start flowing with it. You learn to trust in something bigger than yourself. You learn to believe in the impossible. And when you do this, when you live from this place of faith and trust and connection to divine intelligence, you don't just change your own life. You change the lives of everyone around you. Your family sees it, your friends see it, strangers see it, and they're inspired. They're reminded of their own connection to Source. They're encouraged to have faith in their own impossible situations. This is how the world changes. Not through force, not through fighting, but through people like you who choose to align themselves with love instead of fear, with faith instead of doubt, with trust instead of control. Through people who understand that we're all connected, we're all expressions of the same divine intelligence, we're all capable of miracles. So right now, in this moment, I want you to make a decision. I want you to decide that no matter how impossible your situation seems, you're going to trust that there is a way out. You're going to trust that divine intelligence is already working on your behalf. You're going to trust that you are being guided, supported, and carried by a power that is far greater than any problem you could ever face. Decide that you're going to let go of your need to control how it all unfolds. Decide that you're going to release your attachment to specific outcomes. Decide that you're going to open yourself up to possibilities you haven't even considered yet. Decide that you're going to focus on faith instead of fear, on solutions instead of problems, on gratitude instead of complaints. Decide that you're going to take the next step in front of you, even if you can't see the entire staircase. Decide that you're going to trust your intuition, follow your guidance, act on your inspired ideas. Decide that you're going to be patient with the process, knowing that divine timing is perfect even when it doesn't match your timeline. Decide that you're going to be kind to yourself along the way, that you're going to forgive yourself when you stumble, that you're going to get back up when you fall, that you're going to keep going even when you feel like giving up. Because here's what I know for certain. If you're still breathing, if your heart is still beating, if you're still here, then your story isn't over. There are still chapters to be written. There are still miracles waiting to unfold. There is still a purpose for your life that hasn't been fulfilled yet. Your impossible situation is not the end. It's a beginning. It's a doorway. It's an invitation to step into a bigger version of yourself, to access deeper levels of faith, to experience the power of divine intelligence working through you. And when you look back on this time from the vantage point of your healed, transformed, miraculous life, you're going to see it differently. You're going to see that what felt like your darkest hour was actually your greatest teacher. You're going to see that what seemed like an impossible situation was actually a perfectly orchestrated opportunity for your growth. You're going to see that you were never alone, never abandoned, never forgotten. You were always held. You were always loved. You were always guided. And there was always a way out. There was always a solution. There was always hope. This is your truth. This is your power. This is your birthright. You are a beloved child of the universe. You are an expression of divine intelligence. You are worthy of miracles. You are capable of the impossible. So stand up, dust yourself off, lift your eyes, open your heart, trust the process. Have faith in the journey, believe in the power that creates worlds, and know that this same power is working for you, through you, as you. Your impossible situation doesn't stand a chance against the infinite intelligence of the universe. Your problem is no match for the divine power that flows through you. Your circumstances are about to shift because you are about to shift. You are about to remember who you really are. You are about to tap into resources you didn't know you had. You are about to witness miracles. God has a way out of your impossible situation. The way is opening right now. The solution is already in motion. The miracle is already on its way. All you have to do is trust. All you have to do is believe. All you have to do is align yourself with the infinite possibilities that are your true nature. You are not stuck. You are not trapped. You are not hopeless. You are powerful beyond measure. You are loved beyond comprehension. You are supported by forces you cannot see, but can absolutely feel when you get quiet enough to notice. So breathe, relax, release, trust. Know that everything is working out for your highest good. Know that you are exactly where you need to be, learning exactly what you need to learn, becoming exactly who you need to become. Your impossible situation is about to become your greatest testimony. Your struggle is about to become your strength. Your test is about to become your testimony. Your mess is about to become your message. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of your miracle. And it starts right now, with you choosing faith over fear, trust over control, love over everything else. God has a way out. The way is here. The way is now. The way is you.